Hey, Freak Leaks, guess who's back? We got a very exciting show for you tonight. Not only is this our first show back from our hiatus, it is our first show where we have a guest co-host.
Awesome.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited to be here.
Hey.
Okay, Fran, go ahead and do some introductions for the people who don't know us. Please.
All right. I'll go first. My name is Francine, and I am the most senior here. I'm also probably the most immature. And I own a company called Naughty Edibles, where I make edibles that are naughty. So if you need a 12-ounce chocolate penis, give me a call.
And we did a whole episode on that. What was that, episode 4? I believe it was episode 4. So if you want to get more info about Francine's Treats, then go back to our YouTube page and tap on episode 4, and you can get all the treats and the goodies. Okay, go ahead, Mai.
Hey, y'all. My name is Maya. I am probably the most explorative of the group. I own and operate Pure Romance by Maya, and I also am a professional dominatrix. So I bring all the education and the fun and the kinky to the group.
And these are facts. Okay, so rounding out the trio, my name is Fee. I'm Felicia Rand, otherwise known as Fee. I own a company called Femme Jolie Eye Design Studio, and I help make magical me time moments easier for busy women at home with beauty and bath products. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm here, with the ladies doing the whole freaky girls thing. I'm actually the baby of the bunch, but I feel like I'm the most blunt out of the 3. So we always keep it a buck. But if you really want to know how we really feeling about stuff, I'm probably the one. So, yes, I'm excited. Again, we have Miss Debra Shade. Francine, can you roll off some of those beautiful feed footage about Miss Debra Shade so everybody can get to know who she is?
All right. I am so excited. Debra, if I may call you Debra, is a board-certified clinical sexologist and master expert, and she's right here in Columbus, Ohio. But I did hear she travels
everywhere.
She owns a private practice. She is IMBD accredited for the alternative TV series, Webcam Diaries. Nice. Presently in pre-production. I'm sorry.
I was just saying nice.
Presently in pre-production, and it's going to be on After Hours high def on Roku. She's also an author. She's written several books. She also does private sessions, and she's been at, I don't know how many, they have the events listed here. She does Adult Recess, Bliss, Woman for Woman, Sip and Paint Nudes, High Rise, Shades. She's a busy woman, y'all. She has been to expos, conventions, and festivals such as the 2019 National Sexual Health Conference, the Ohio Lesbian Festival, Trauma, Lion's Den, Sexapalooza, Columbus Pride, Exotica Tours, House of Bacchus, and Columbus Psych Fest. And she is a current freelance writer for sexpot.com and ASN Lifestyle Magazine.
And now she's here with us. Yay! So real quick, before we get started, Debra, can you tell us a little bit about just your story and how, you got into the why of what you do?
Right. I wrote my first book that I thought was erotica or, just basic Zane type erotica. And then when I started doing my signings, it was a bit much for some individuals. People would get up and leave or be extremely uncomfortable. And some would actually come up after the signings and say, I didn't know lesbians could do that. Or I thought fisting was you put your whole fist in somebody or whatever the scenario was. And the more I was having these conversations, I was realizing that we needed modern day sex education and not just the banana on, not what we learned. We need modern day education. And then I figured we needed that education to be about sex for pleasure. And no one was talking about sex for actual pleasure and not just for procreating and appreciating your orgasm and that type of thing. In fact, the word orgasm wasn't being said. There were all these other words like intimacy being used. So I just decided to get educated on the subject and get certified on it so that I can start to talk to people about orgasms and having sex for pleasure. And I've now mastered 6 vaginal orgasms, including the squirting orgasm, the ability to guide folks through dry orgasms through anal sex, and just helping folks through barriers to a better orgasm.
Yeah, that makes me excited. So that's a great segue into us getting started. So this is For Freaky Girls Podcast, episode 7, Wet Ass Pussy, Understanding the Female Orgasm. So the first topic we're going to dive into is orgasm basics. What is an orgasm and what is happening in your body when you have one? Mm-hmm. So we're just going to we try to treat everybody as if they just flat out don't damn know, because there's some people who don't. So no need to put them on blast, but let's just do it, because there's a lot of woke folks that don't know shit about what's going on with their coochie. So
have I met
dive into it.
Right. So an orgasm is the peak of the completion of the sexual response cycle, which is that anticipation of that excitement, the foreplay, the actual sex itself, and then the resolution, and then the orgasm and that resolution. So it's the point where the body becomes stiffened, it contracts, you feel contractions in your uterus, if we're talking about a vulva owner. And I don't know if you guys want to stick to vulva owners, penis owners, or just orgasms. But in the vulva owner, the contractions are in the uterus, and your body may stiffen up, your breath is going to increase in pace, and you may lose thought. Like you might have been thinking about, boy, the way my boobs is moving, and before you know it, you're like, fuck my boob. It's amazing to me. So there's a difference, though, in what the result is. So if you have had an orgasm and there is a thicker white material that's come out of the vagina, that's more like coming. That's more like just the release that is coming from your cervix and that type of thing. But a true orgasm, you should be having either a squirting orgasm or one where you're releasing at least 2 teaspoons to 2 cups of fluid.
So we've talked about that before, Deborah, where a lot of people don't know that there's a difference between coming and an orgasm. Like they think it's one and the same. I think mostly because most of the time when men come, they also have an orgasm most of the time. But in most circumstances, but I think a lot of people are sometimes confused at that. They think what's one and the same when it's not, right?
It is very independent of each other. You could really be having an orgasm, but not having those contractions, which is going to cause the uterus and the cervix to push that fluid out. Right. So you're not going to actually have that full fulfillment of an orgasm. They stand alone. And then you could have an orgasm without squirting at the same time, but having that same intense sensation. So, but a big thing to keep in mind is that all of the sexual research that we've got have been done by men. We are just getting in an era where there are females who are looking at how the vagina works. Today, they're still saying the G-spot is a myth, where we have visually seen this orgasm on video. So, we are coming behind the 8 ball where men have been telling us, you don't enjoy your orgasm. You don't it wasn't until 1953 that they said we even had an orgasm. So, this is just, we assume our body's going to do what the male body does because that's all we've ever been told.
Right.
Yeah, that reminds me of something I was watching. Listen, they know I like a lot of documentary stuff. So if I come up on some stuff, but the whole term hysterectomy, where that came from, and hysteria, because they took a vibrator and put it inside this woman's vagina and then let it vibrate until she had an orgasm, and then they called her crazy. Like, what we doing? No wonder so many people out here lost, especially, you know, that are in our age group, you know, like 40 and up, right? So yeah, it's not your fault, girl. It's not your fault. Just know that. Okay. So let's move on then to the next topic, which is, what's your sweet spot? What's the difference between a clitoral and vaginal orgasm? Where is my G spot? And what the fuck is an A spot?
There's a whole lot of spots in there.
There's a whole lot of things going on with your best friend. Girl.
Pins and pads
something about her today.
Hey, get your pins and pads out.
So the G spot, you know, most people have heard about. There's the A spot, which is the interior fornix. There's the C spot, which is having your cervix manipulated. There's the deep spot, which is the back wall when you go all the way behind the cervix. And then there's the cul-de-sac where you go down into the vagina in that space down there. So all of them have different feelings and different sensations. The clitoral orgasm is the most intense orgasm. 64% of vaginal owners say they don't come from just thrusting, that they need to be able to stimulate the clitoris in order to actually have an orgasm. And that's because that's where those nerve endings are, is in that clitoral head. But the excitement of the other orgasms come from the internal clitoris, the rest of the clitoris that they recently found out about, that has two legs and the skin glands connected to it. And so the A spot is about, well, first, let me tell you about that G spot. Mm-hmm. It's 2 to 3 inches inside of the vagina. So it really is just the first section of your finger and that little crook that you can make. That's all far you really need to go in. And it's to the front of the vagina. So you want to pull it towards the belly button. So it's a come hither movement that you want to make. And it's all about the pressure and the speed that you're applying. It's a perfect storm that you have to create for this individual. So it's once they get aroused, and you can't come without arousal. You can't do it with a tense body. You're not going to be able to do it if you're not in the right headspace. So arousal is a must for squirting. And then when you continue to pull in that motion as the person is gasping and getting all into it, you pick up your speed and your force, and it should cause that person to ejaculate within maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Everybody's different, of course, so it matters. So I have this cool thing I'm an affiliate of called the Squirt Watch, and it actually teaches folks who wear it how to squirt. And it uses a red, yellow, green light system. It starts out red, and then as you begin to start the motions with your hand, it'll turn yellow, like we're getting there. And then once you actually have that speed and force going, it's going to turn green and maybe should be squirting. And this watch was created on the work of Marcus London. He's a veteran porn star who is known as the king of squirting. And he actually can bring even people who've never experienced it before to a squirting orgasm. So
yeah.
Be tricked.
That sounds
like a watch.
Yeah, I feel like I need to go do my due diligence because I didn't know about this person.
Yeah.
This person
contact number.
You know, but then you talk about with porn and learning things from porn, it's really not good for educational stuff. Mm. But as far as the skill set of seeing him make this work and then building this product around him with such a mysterious orgasm really helped bring a voice to what that G-spot orgasm is and how folks can appreciate it. A lot of folks are nervous. Am I broken? Am I peeing? You know, like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And so one of the barriers that I help individuals through is it's not pee. And this is why I don't understand why it's so hard for scientists to figure this out. The skin glands holds the fluid that is ejaculated, just as the prostate holds the semen that is ejaculated. They share the urethra tube, which is why it feels like you have to pee. So I don't understand why it makes sense that a male can't pee and come at the same time, but it doesn't make sense for a female. So I teach folks that you can use those sensual parts of the clitoris. I don't know if you guys can see that, to bring about more of those orgasms. But no, the skin gland is holding that fluid. There's been a research where they saw the fluid back into the bladder and then released. It was gone after the person ejaculated, so they're thinking it's coming from the bladder. But it's not. But even if it was, urine is 92 to 98% water, so it's well worth the orgasm. You can put down some towels, that type of thing. It doesn't necessarily have to go in your mouth, although 2 to 3% in your mouth is not a big deal. But it's typically not pee, but some people go pee before they have sex. And so, of course, that residual urine will be in your urethra because it's sharing that space.
Mm-hmm.
So then the A-spot orgasm is 5 to 7 inches inside of the vagina at the top. So you're going to kind of bump against the cervix. When you feel that, rest your hand right on top of that space and try not to continuously hit that cervix. But you can do a circular motion with your 2 fingers, or you can do that come hither motion. Lube is your best friend when it comes to finger and toy play.
Please say that again.
Yeah, lube and more lube. Lube's really great for making everything slicker, warmer, more arousal. You're not breaking anything. It's one less thing to worry about that's on the table. So a lubed finger on the A spot. The orgasm is intense. It's all over body. Your hair is standing up, but you won't squirt. It's the biggest difference between the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a G spot without the squirting, like the intensity? Okay.
Exactly. Yes, it is.
I got a question about the spots.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talk about, I'm going to bring up penis. We talk about the penis and how, some men who they think they've got to be, some women and some men think they got to be 9 inches long just to get you off. But hell, my best lover, well, with the exception who I'm with now, he was 6 inches hard. And that was the best orgasms I ever had. So just thinking back on that, it seems like maybe he's just hitting the spot that worked for me.
Right.
Because I never knew about all these damn spots until a few weeks ago. I mean, I thought there was the G spot and, that was it.
Yeah. There's a lot of space to play in there. Size matters with some positions that you get in when it comes to trying to reach the A spot. Size matters, but if you do the cowgirl where you're in control of that depth, that's really, really good. You might be moving into extenders or something, some other toy or something like that to actually get that A spot if the person is small. But as far as orgasm, size does not matter because you only need that first 2 inches where all those nerve endings are anyway to have a great orgasm.
Okay.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just going to ask about what was the next one? Because I know you said like A, B, C, D, 2, 3, and 5. So I'm trying to keep up. That's all. Go ahead.
Right.
Man spot.
The C spot is the cervix. So the cervix is the little turkey neck thing. It feels like that inside the vagina. It's not meant to enter or to penetrate, so don't try and do that. But with a lubed finger or with a penis, you can put light pressure against it, and it causes the area to soften and sends shivers through the body. So it's more of the butterfly effect kind of orgasm that you're feeling, kind of like a cold chill, which is great for warming somebody up or getting them aroused and that type of thing. So it's great, but it's not a mind-blowing orgasm. But it's one of those ones that you appreciate having because it adds to the experience.
See, I wish I could do that. I don't know if I can.
What do you mean?
Well, because I have like the skin on my cervix is really, really like weird. So it bleeds easily.
So you might not want to.
Yeah, so I can't do it.
Right.
I feel like I've had that one before and didn't know it.
Well, this was actually just, a recent doctor's visit a couple of months ago where I was just like, it just seems like if, like over any little thing, because I have an IUD, so that could be also contributing, but I've had some issues with my cervix in the past. Yeah, like I was just like, I feel like I just bleed too easily. And she like touched it with, the little instrument that she was using. She was like, oh yeah. Wow. She was like, so that's just, it's just one of those things, some women have it, some women don't.
Right.
And I imagine as long as I still have this, IUD, I mean, the string is going to contribute to that anyway. So maybe it'll get better after, I take that thing out. So I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
But, okay. Sorry.
But I would definitely not do it if that is the case, because you can damage the cervix. So if it's painful for you, it's not going to be a good orgasm. So you shouldn't try it. So, but you can test that when you're stimulating that A spot. If you bump against it and the person tenses up or flexes away from you or any of those things, then that means that C spot orgasm is not going to be for them.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. And then the deep spot is going all the way to that back wall of the vagina. A great position for that is to be on your back with your legs all the way up and allowing as much penetration as possible. This is going far deep back, so the person should be leaning over you, maybe on their tippy toes, and going kind of like a push-up over your body to reach
a Superman.
And then the receiver needs to be thrusting up to actually meet the stimulation so that is happening and it's going as deep as possible. So it's a great orgasm. You feel the contractions, you feel the hair raising and all this.
That reminds me of that video we had on the group where the mister was showing how to do it right with the pillow with his hip.
Yes. So what you saying for that one, I got to stretch.
Right. I was just here thinking like, so a workout, some great sex, the orgasm.
I mean, I tell people I'm a big girl. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. I can get it up there, but with that one, it seems like I might have to stretch a little.
Oh, yeah.
The next one takes a lot of stretching too. If you actually bring those knees up to your chest. You have to be careful with that you're not pushing your breast up to your throat, which is blocking air, or over your mouth, which is blocking air, but just putting your knees all the way up to your chest, almost like the fetal position on your back, is going to give that access for the cul-de-sac. And they're going to be angling themselves so that they're going down on the backside of the vagina. I think fingering works a whole lot better here. You can do the bunny hop in that space. You're just going up and down. And like the G spot, you were working with pressure and speed based on that. The grunting, the sounds, the squirming, all of those signs that are telling you that this person's getting closer and closer. You don't want to stop this orgasm until it's completed itself. And it's an intense orgasm that sometimes causes you to squirt. Not everybody, but it could sometimes bring on a squirting orgasm as well. And the more intense and swollen it gets, the more open it gets. So you can find yourself going deeper and deeper. So there's no harm in it. It still feels really, really great going that far down inside of the vagina. Just I would be mindful that you don't go beyond where it feels comfortable and there's no give in that space.
I wonder how many gym memberships are going to be bought after this going. I got to go out to my cul-de-sac.
Yoga studio memberships.
Right.
It's going to be my year. I'm going to do it.
Right. Now, there's a position called the jackhammer. Did you say that one?
I didn't say it, but yes.
Yeah. So you know which position I'm talking about, where like you're kind of laying off the bed and then he's just kind of coming at you from this angle. Would that be a good angle for that spot?
Are you saying he's coming from, like you're sitting on the bed, or you're leaning?
So like you're like kind of laying off of the bed, like your shoulders are on the floor.
Okay.
Not like the freak in here nobody knows about.
So you are
Didn't have a name for it when we did it. It was just hanging off.
Like you're like laying off the bed, your shoulders are on the floor, and he's still like on the bed and just coming at you from this angle. Like, does that make sense?
On the bed.
Yeah, he's still on the bed.
And you're on your back with your shoulders.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
so it sounds like he could do the D or the A spot in that position.
Okay.
The D or the A spot, because he can change the angle that he's working with.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I got some homework to do.
That's really good info.
Got some homework to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here, I have a question about the G-spot. So I've always been told and always been taught that it's in some ways easier and excuse me, I guess I don't know the other word I'm looking for, but basically to reach and stimulate the G-spot anally than it is vaginally. Mm-hmm. Is that a true statement?
I wouldn't say it's easier. It's about the same because that G-spot takes a lot of mental presence, a lot of mindful presence for that arousal. And any little thing that sets that arousal back, you've got to rebuild it up and that type of thing. You've got to do that with anal because, of course, now you've got anal penetration. You've got, the fact that you're doing anal at all. So you got to clear your head of all those things. But the positioning is directly against the backside of those skin glands, which is going to cause a squirting orgasm. So when you're having that anal penetration, lube. You cannot use too much lube. So not even the inside of the rectum lubricates itself. So you can even take a finger and lube the inside. They've got these little lube shooter things that you kind of draw up the lube and shoot it up in there. You just can't have enough lube. That's when a person's on their back, like in the doggy style, it kind of relaxes the S curve that is at the base of the rectum before it goes into the intestines. That's the painful point that most people hate. So if you're able to relax your body and smooth out that S curve, that penetration is going to be a lot more straighter. And then once you're in, then you can lay on your side, you can stand up, you can do whatever that you want to be able to do. But getting past that S curve is crucial. So there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of shift a little here or arch your back here. There's a lot of guidance that's needed to get the person comfortable and standing in the moment to get that. But once you're on the inside and you're going towards that, thrusting towards that belly button, you're stroking the G-spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't hear too many women ever say that they have an orgasm or come from anal, but I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I taught it over and over again. I successfully have people have anal orgasms. It is, again, those skin glands, just like the prostates, super sensitive little sacs that's holding that fluid. And once it's stimulated, it can bring about that anal orgasm.
And then I also wonder if it's maybe just the women near my age group, because I'm not even 2 years from 60. So, there's a lot of women that I know still my age that are like, anal is like, no, we don't talk about that. We don't try to do it. And I'm like, okay.
Right. You don't know what you're missing out on. But that's, a generational conversation. That's a generational conversation that says anal is bad, and it only means gay or it only equates to something negative. And that's the kind of language that I'm trying to change and trying to take the stigma off of anal because it is a pleasurable orgasm. And all orgasms have benefits for the life. I don't have to tell you guys that, the health benefits of orgasm.
Tell us. Tell us.
It boosts your immune system. It lowers blood pressure. It's great for depression. It relieves you of headache, and sometimes the oxytocin can actually relieve pain. So if you've got a little bit of arthritis going on, a great orgasm will relieve some of that pain. So there's a slew of health benefits in it, regardless how you're getting that orgasm, that you're going to be able to take advantage of.
And, as you get older and you start having issues with your uterine wall and your urinary tract system. I was talking to my doctor a few years ago about that. And I was like, I'm not old enough to have to go on any kind of pills or anything. I don't want any kind of that. And he said, have more sex. Yeah. The more sex you have, the more control you have over your bladder.
Mm-hmm. And your pelvic floor is. So the pelvic floor is going to be what's going to hold everything in and tell, you know what I'm saying? So for as long as you want it to be held in, you need to be exercising those muscles. Right. So if you're not having sex, do your Kegels and make sure that you're keeping that pelvic floor really, really strong. And if you can help it, don't hold your bladder. Make sure if you've got to go, that you go as quickly as possible, because you don't want to add strain and allow it to continue to loosen and hang and get bigger and bigger, causing more urinary issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful benefits.
Yeah, that's really good. And I'm gonna just say, like, I chose to opt out of anal sex, but when I was having anal sex, like, I had some amazing orgasms. Like, there is no argument at all. I think it was just, for me, the prep work was just, it was just too much for me. Maybe, you know, down the line we'll revisit again. Like, it's not an absolute no, but for right now, like, I'm okay with just, you know, with vaginal. Yeah.
A lot of people say that about prepping for anal. Yes, you should, because nobody wants a mess. And I mean, you know, there's some play in it. There's some folks that like it. But the thing to know is that poop does not hang out in the rectum. It's not in that space, which is where you're going to be penetrating. So it's higher in the intestines. Now, if you know you've got a void, you need to go. Don't wait. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't have anal sex. You know you got to take a shit. That's like crazy.
Right.
But it usually doesn't hang out where you have to go. So just fixing your anus hole or something like that could be all the prep that you need. But it's also a mind thing.
It's a mind thing.
I'm referring more to just like the pain of what did you say it was called? The
S-curve.
S-curve. Yeah, that for me, it took too long. And so it almost kind of took me out of the game, like the mental space. And to me, it wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I just haven't mastered that yet. So maybe it's something that we do need to go back and revisit. But just once I got there, I was good. But it just seemed like it took forever for my body just to relax and just let it happen. You know what I mean? So
it really does.
Yeah.
I've always encouraged ladies, because I mean, like during my parties and stuff, I've always encouraged ladies to try to have like a clitoral orgasm or something, you know, try to have an orgasm first and then move to anal, because your body's naturally going to be in a relaxed state, you know, so that helps with that mental relaxation. That helps with the physical relaxation as well. So that's just, you know, something
that's a good tip.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as you get older, your skin doesn't just thin out around your body. It thins out in the anus too. So, you know, Debra's saying, use a lot of lube. And if you're up there in your years, it's already been taking place. Use a lot of lube. Don't be ashamed about it.
Right.
Go get you one of them squirty things.
What is a squirty, Francine?
Well, she was telling you to take the lube and shoot it up in there.
Oh, it's like a little syringe. It's like a little syringe. Pull it up and.
I mean, it can still be pleasurable at my age. You've just got to use a lot of extra lube and really get it up in there.
Indeed. There are, you know, we here in Columbus, we have an outbreak in our senior citizen homes of gonorrhea. Because senior citizens are still having sex.
Yes, they are.
We want you to have sex until you're in your 90s. As long as you're able to do it, again, because of those benefits, have sex. But because they don't have that conversation and the homes don't promote sex, they don't have the tools to have healthy, non-risky sex. So
for some reason people think, you know, once you hit a certain age, you're not supposed to have any type of sexual pleasure.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what that is. The same with the disabled. You know, they are beings. You know, they need the tools to be able to have healthy sex lives as well.
Exactly.
I think because most of our grandmothers didn't really talk about it. Like, you know, that was one of their things. They talk about it with us. Right. They talk about it with their homegirls. They didn't talk about it with us. They'd be like, mind your grown folks' business, mind your business. Like, when they should have been having those conversations with us, I feel.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, we're on our last 10 minutes. So real quick, we talked moving into topic 3, juicy fruit, squirting 101. And since we already talked about that, let's kind of shift it a bit. So I was thinking, like, Debra, I thought I read that you teach classes, correct, on how to squirt. Okay, so can you kind of talk about, like, how do you help them, you know, in that journey? Like, I know that it starts with, you know, your mind. Like, what kind of mental space, what kind of techniques do you use to help, you know, your clients get themselves into that mind state where they can allow themselves to be relaxed enough to release in that way?
I do hands-on sessions with my individuals or couples. So if it's an individual, they have to provide the body they're going to have this experience with. But with couples, that they're there. I have a demo, it's kind of like an ass and a vagina, those little cyber skin things. And I have whoever's going to be the giver practice on that to show them the pressure and the speed and what that hooked finger looks like, what that come hither looks like, and have them do it on the demo toy so I can say that's too hard, that's too soft, whatever it is. And then I tell them to, get engaged in the arousal process. And while you're getting them aroused, I'm giving tips like, you can tell by the way she's tensing up, she doesn't like all that nipple attention. So, if you don't get her aroused, this isn't going to work for you. But if you don't speak up for your orgasm, it's not going to work for you. So I'm telling them as the receiver, you've got to say, you're distracting me with that. You're overstimulating me there. Let's move on to something else. So talking them through the steps that they're taking to ruin or breaking up that arousal process. And then I may touch the person and say, remember, this is the pressure you need to apply. And actually on the shoulder, apply that much pressure, which transfers through their hands. And then teaching them to watch for those body sounds and signs that the person is getting more and more aroused. And then the squirting actually happens. And then I get emails like, we're still doing it and it's happening every time. This is great. But it is a lot of hand-holding in the beginning, but it really is the receiver's job to speak up for what's working, to make sure that they're aroused and don't rush the process because you might be taking too long or any of those things. Make sure that you're enjoying the ride just as much, because folks who give squirting orgasms love that. They absolutely love that. So they're already there and deciding to have sex with you. So all of that, I'm overweight, I'm this, I'm that, this is short, that's long. None of that matters because they've already agreed to have sex with you.
Right.
So take all of that off of the head. Now you got to worry about, is he too big? Is he too long? Is he gonna, what's going on with him? All of that comes off of the table. Now you're worried about, how are they kissing your neck? How are they stroking your shoulders? Are they rubbing your feet? These things are great. And you can say that feels really good and start to talk positive sexual statements to yourself and bring that arousal in with the physical touch that's happening and create that perfect storm so that this can happen.
So now all women capable of squirting?
99% of women are capable of squirting. If you've had hysterectomy, if you've chronic urinary tract infections, yeast infections, those kind of things affect the sensitivity of that space. But for the majority, 99% of folks who can release their mind can have a squirting orgasm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you teach, it sounds like you're working more with the giver than you are the receiver, or did I just...
It's both. I'm teaching the receiver how to receive that orgasm and what their responses should be to, you've got to keep that communication going between the two. You also don't want somebody licking your clit for 30 minutes and you're not telling them it feels great. You got to give them that encouragement and stay in that conversation too. So I'm doing both at the same time.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what feeling should people look for? Because I've always been taught and told that when you get that sensation that you have to pee, that's the
how I feel
of it. So is that it? Okay.
That's it. If you feel like you have to pee, that is going to be your orgasm. And while you should have been practicing some type of breathing, long inhales, out inhales, or impact the paces once it starts to get intact, when you're feeling that pressure of having to pee, taking in longer breaths and letting them out really slow until it gets more and more intense and your breaths are getting short and panting, it's going to lead to a better orgasm. And you're more likely to squirt if you could breathe into that orgasmic experience versus going, I'm about to pee. It's getting that thought that you're about to pee out of your head. But if you do that experience, it
I keep telling them, be like Elsa and let it go.
Yeah, that's dope.
That is awesome. So I would say, ladies, if y'all think y'all have a mind block or, you need some extra hands-on, hit Miss Debra up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sign up for a class myself.
Virtual classes for people who are not local to us here in Columbus, Ohio, or is it hands-on in person?
It's hands-on in person. I travel though. I do the East Coast. Like I don't go out west for hands-on stuff, but I'll do the East Coast. I'll do as far as maybe Texas, Georgia, those areas where I could go and do hands-on. My Zooms that I do are not hands-on, but I've got my demo things that I'm using. And just hoping that the feedback that they're giving me is getting me to their experience. I would say 70% of the time the person's experiencing the orgasm, but it is a disadvantage to not be face-to-face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you do group sessions?
I do group sessions. Usually we'll meet up at a swingers club or something like that. And I do a party called Adult Recess, where we start with like burlesque performers. We get everybody hot and I read some of my erotica and shadow people are acting out what I'm reading. So it's all about getting folks aroused. And then I hold the workshop within the experience where whatever the orgasm is, people are going to experience that orgasm. So if it's all 10 female orgasms, the breast, the arms, the skin, the brain, you're going to experience all of those orgasms in that evening.
So now how do you structure the classes when you have group classes? Are people in their feelings about the fact that there's somebody 6 feet away from them, or, how does that work?
Most of the time, once I tell people, okay, we can do this, and if you don't want to do it in your home, you can get a hotel room, or we could meet at a swingers club. It gives them that option to decide whether or not they want to be in experience. I'm getting ready to hold a squirting class with 10 couples. We're all going to be in the same space. And it's not going to be a real big room either. So there are individuals who are used to being in a swinger space, so they understand what that means and that type of thing. But you're right, it does take some awareness of what you're capable of doing, because everybody says they are into porn and can do porn until the camera comes on and you have to be hard for 16 hours. Some people are kind of shy with that kind of thing, but it really, really depends. So I try to structure them so that my more like-minded individuals we can do as a group, and then those couples that I'm seeing individually, that I can see them in a hotel setting or somewhere else.
Okay.
I like that.
We're just about at time, but real quick before we go, Miss Debra, can you please share how everybody can find you on social media and around? They can get in contact with you.
I am on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Shady on Top. And my courses, I have 14 courses out that can teach you how to have these orgasms, are at shademediallc.com. You can read all of my articles. I just started writing for the BDSM article as well. So that's exciting. So you can catch my articles in these magazines. And I post about my parties and my workshops all the time on these social sites, so you'll be able to find me.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anything more to add, ladies, before we wrap up?
No,
I just want to say thank you. Yes. Thank you. You have a lot more freaky girls out here.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate
please
you.
come back anytime.
Yes. Please come
anytime.
And if you have any other questions for us, you can always email us info@For Freaky Girls Podcast. You can follow us on IG at For Freaky Girls Podcast. And as always, you can come and see us on YouTube. Ladies, I appreciate you. Everybody, this was fun. Yeah, we're gonna have to have a part 2. We might have to talk to you about some things we got coming up. We'll keep that one under wraps. Okay. So we are gonna go ahead and sign off. We love you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Until the next one. Keep it freaky, freaky leaks.
Absolutely.